Home. It's supposed to be the safest place in the world. But for 3 people, home became the very stage where their worst nightmares played out. Tonight, you'll hear 3 true stories of home intrusions, each one different, but all terrifying in their own way. If you've ever thought about what might happen when you're alone late at night, after hearing these, you may never look at your doors, windows, or closets the same way again. Samantha was 27, a nurse who worked night shifts at a hospital in Minneapolis. She was used to quiet, empty streets when she got home at night, but this night felt different. It was a late February Friday, the kind where the air bit at your lungs and the snow reflected the pale orange glow of streetlights. Samantha's roommates were away for the weekend on a ski trip, leaving her with the whole house to herself. She kicked off her boots by the door, dropped her scrubs in the laundry, and made her way into the kitchen. Her plan was simple: hot tea, shower, and a long, uninterrupted sleep. But as she stood waiting for the kettle to whistle, she heard a faint, almost delicate scraping sound coming from somewhere below her feet. At first, she thought it might be the house settling, but then it came again, this time followed by a soft metallic tap. She set her mug down slowly, heart picking up speed. Their basement was unfinished and usually silent. No reason for any noise at this hour. She walked to the basement door, her socks whispering against the hardwood floor. She held her breath and listened. Nothing. Then, as she bent down to peek through the crack under the door, she noticed something strange, a draft of cold air hitting her face. The basement window. Grabbing her phone, she flicked on the flashlight and opened the door a few inches. The beam of light caught something that made her skin crawl. The basement window was open about 6 inches, and fresh snow had been disturbed just outside it. There were footprints leading straight to the window, and judging by their sharp edges, they were recent. Her fingers trembled as she dialed 911, whispering to the operator that someone had been in her basement. As she crept back toward the kitchen, she heard it, a single slow step coming from the basement. She ran into her bedroom, slammed the door, locked it, and climbed into the closet, crouching low with her phone still pressed to her ear. The operator stayed on the line with her, whispering that police were on their way. From her hiding place, she could hear faint movement downstairs, not loud, but deliberate, like someone trying not to be heard.
Minutes later, red and blue lights lit up the walls. Officers entered the house and descended into the basement. When they came back up, they had a man in handcuffs. He had been hiding in the basement, clutching a kitchen knife he had brought with him. He admitted later that he had been watching the house for weeks, waiting for a night when Samantha would be alone. Police told her that if she hadn't called when she did, he might have come upstairs. For weeks afterward, Samantha refused to be alone at night, and to this day, she swears she sometimes hears faint scraping sounds whenever she's home by herself. James was a 21-year-old college student renting a 1-bedroom apartment near campus. It wasn't much, but it was his first place on his own, and he liked having the freedom. One Tuesday, after his morning classes, he stopped at a coffee shop and then headed home. As he put his key in the door, he noticed something odd. The door was already slightly ajar. His stomach sank. He was sure he had locked it that morning, but maybe he was just being forgetful. He stepped inside cautiously. Everything looked normal. His laptop was still on his desk, wallet on the counter, nothing missing. Shaking it off, he locked the door and went about his day. That night, he ordered takeout, watched a few episodes of a show, and eventually crawled into bed. Somewhere around midnight, he woke up suddenly, unsure why, and then he heard it. Soft, slow breathing. At first, he thought it was coming from the apartment above him, but then, he noticed it was steady and close. Too close. He sat up, heart hammering. The sound was coming from across the room, from the closet. He stared at the closed door, too terrified to move. The breathing continued calm, rhythmic, as if whoever it was had been there a long time. James grabbed his phone and called his best friend, forcing his voice to sound normal. "Hey man, wanna come over?" he said loudly. He slipped out of bed, unlocked the door, and walked outside into the hallway, trying not to look at the closet. When police arrived, they opened the closet and found a man crouched in the corner, wearing dark clothes and holding a small backpack. Inside the bag was duct tape, rope, gloves, and a kitchen knife. Police believed he had been hiding there since that morning, waiting for James to fall asleep. The man refused to say why he chose James's apartment. James never spent another night there. He broke the lease the next day and moved back in with his parents. This story comes from a couple living in rural Texas. They had just gone to bed when loud, frantic knocking echoed through the house. The husband grabbed his phone and went to the front door. A man's voice was calling for help. "Please," the man said, sounding out of breath. "My car broke down. I need to use your phone." Through the peephole, the husband could see him tall, thin, wearing a hoodie. Something about the way he kept glancing over his shoulder made him uneasy. Then the man jiggled the doorknob. The husband called out, "I'm calling the police for you." Almost immediately, the man stopped knocking and ran off into the night. When police arrived, they found pry marks on the couple's back door, and a second man hiding behind the shed with the crowbar. Officers said it was a tactic they'd seen before. One man distracts the homeowners at the front door, while another tries to break in through the back. The couple installed security cameras the next day. For months afterward, they couldn't sleep without double-checking every door and window. These weren't ghost stories. They were real, and they happened to ordinary people in ordinary homes. Which of these three stories disturbed you the most? The man in the basement, the stranger in the closet, or the 3 a.m. knocking? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe if you want more true horror stories like these. Just remember, sometimes the scariest thing isn't outside your house. It's already inside.